As a child, I thought I hated school. Sometimes kids were mean, there was always work to do, often it was boring. Oh, and teachers always telling me what to do, where to sit, that I have to wash my hands after using the bathroom. Good call. But sometimes I really just didn't like school. And yet, looking back, some of my most impactful childhood memories happened there. I remember reading my first book in first grade and finishing it, and my teacher just freaked out about it. She was jumping up and down and screaming, and I can clearly remember my 6-year-old self thinking, "Chill out, lady." But I also remember feeling very proud of myself and loving her affirmation. I remember the presidential physical fitness test where they made a bunch of 5th graders do sit-ups and run a mile, and if you ran it fast enough, Bill Clinton would send you a certificate. And I didn't run it fast enough, and I was so disappointed in myself. But my teacher said we could bend the rules a bit, and on a Saturday, he came to my neighborhood so I could run the mile again and get the award. That's right, my 5th grade teacher and I committed fraud against the federal government in 1995. And I still remember him holding that stopwatch on my street on a Saturday morning. I remember in 6th grade losing the school spelling bee on the word treacherous. Fitting, right? And I remember sitting in the school library so sad and embarrassed that I didn't spell it right and thinking everyone must think I'm some kind of idiot. And Mrs. Bandy came up to me and saw me sad and she said, "Trevor, are you okay?" And I'm like holding in my tears. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." And she said, "Is this about a girl? Did someone break your heart?" That's what one might think a 6th grader would be crying about. But I was like, "No, I lost the spelling bee." And she didn't laugh at me. I still remember that. I got in a fight in 9th grade because I was being really mean to this kid. And I mean really mean. And so he finally hit me, and I tried to hit him back and missed. And when the assistant principal, Mr. Schuyler, sat us down, I told him that I'd never been in a fight before, and I only did it because he hit me first, and I didn't even hit him. And he said, "Yeah, but you picked this fight. I'm sorry, Trevor, but you're suspended." And I was so mad at him about that, the injustice. But looking back, I am so glad Mr. Schuyler sent my butt home. I had it coming. That's like my 10th grade teacher, Mrs. Perry, who I thought had it out for me. I mean, she demanded perfection from every single thing I did in her class. And if I did one little thing wrong on an assignment, God forbid I misplaced a semicolon, she'd make me do it all over again. And yet I swear I have her to thank for choosing a creative writing major in college and becoming an author and an English teacher and learning the importance of discipline and detail for the rest of my life. I think about my 6th grade teacher, Mr. Peters, who used to sit down with me every day after class and let me talk about my parents' divorce when I was hurting so much. And I was so sad at the end of the year when I was no longer in his class. But he promised me that he was going to come to my high school graduation someday. And I'll never forget walking across the stage at graduation and seeing Mr. Peters in the front row. Teachers, they mean something to us. We all have these stories with people who didn't get paid enough, didn't get the accolades they deserve, dedicated their knowledge and passion and energy and hearts to us. We have these stories that shaped us into who we are now. These people were formative. They impacted our identities and who we grew up to be. You know, I have my own kids now, and it's kind of wild to think about how much time they spend in these hallways. The stories that are being written, the people they are going to remember decades and decades from now. It's powerful. And so if you're an educator, I hope you know how impactful your work is. I hope you know that the work you do is anything but temporary, but it's impacting generations of people. And if you're not an educator, I encourage you to spend a little time reflecting on your experience with them, perhaps realizing how important they were, and maybe getting in touch to let them know.